Hey guys, welcome back. Scott here with a new beer dissection video. Let me tell you what we have today, and then I'll tell you a little bit why I picked it. I have from Sapporo, their premium lager. Okay, now sorry about all the frost on the can. I had gotten it, it was like really kind of room temperature. I want to do this video today, so I kind of threw it in my freezer, waited a little bit. So it's definitely going to be a little bit colder than I would particularly serve even lagers like this. But so Sapporo premium lager. So that's pretty much it. You know, on this channel, if you definitely watch more than like a handful of my videos, I like to do a lot of different types of beer. Some that are commercial, some mass produced, some things like from Budweiser to something like maybe big beer bought out like a microbrewery and they're still producing beer like Montauk Brewing Company. Sometimes I like to do, international beers, domestic beers, beers from Maryland. I'm here in New York, beers from Maryland, New England, so all over the place. So I don't like just do videos on beers that are supposedly just strictly craft beer. So I like to drink beers and do reviews on beers that a lot of other people may drink. So like I may do beers like I did with the Modelo, and today I have Sapporo. Now I can't say I've never had this before. I must have had it at one point or another. I know I've had Kirin beer because that kind of alludes to what I checked about 30 seconds before I started this video, is that Sapporo says that the number one Japanese beer in the United States. Now, I immediately chuckled because I said, I don't think there's that many that you can get readily available here in the United States. I know there's Kirin, Sapporo here. I'm not going to say there's not others that you may find in your local beer shop, but it's definitely not, easy to get at all times. Like a lot of other beers I can get from California or whatever, my local beer shop, or Germany or whatever. So what I wanted to do too with this beer is that it's advertised as kind of like the American lager, American light lager, Japanese style, I guess, Japanese made, that they try to, reproduce. So I figured I'd try it out and just review it and just kind of see, where it stands. I'm expecting, sometimes I give you my preliminary thoughts on what the beer is going to be like. I'm thinking it's going to probably be like an upscale Bud or Miller. All right, or maybe another international pale lager like a Heineken, like somewhere around there. But we'll see what happens when I crack this open. So again, Sapporo premium beer, claiming that it's their number one most popular beer, Japanese beer in the United States. Again, if I did have this, it's been eons ago, and who the hell knows what I thought of it at the time. So let's take a look at it. I just figured I'd like to review it. Some people, you may, use my channel. They told me that, there's some beers they're not even sure if they want to try. They don't know much about it. They don't even know that much about beer in general. Okay, crack that open. And, so when they see my channel, they're like, oh, let Scott be the guinea pig and check it out. And I'll learn a little bit about it before I purchase it myself, even if they just want to take a look at it. All right, so let's pour this out. I'm just using a shaker pint. I try not to use shaker pints too much, but for a style like this, which I'm expecting to pour, and it is pouring like that as I look at it. All right, so let's take a look at this. We got about an inch of, pretty nice, white head here. It's definitely not compact bubbles. It almost looks like I just poured Coors or possibly even Budweiser in there. The head doesn't look like it's going to maintain itself very well. Bubbles aren't pretty tight. That's pretty much it. There's really not much more to say about the actual head to this beer. There's definitely, you can see no frothing at all on it. But again, if I'm expecting something like a Budweiser or an international pale lager, I do drink Heineken a lot. The Heineken head is a little bit better than this. But definitely not as good as a lot of my German imports, like my Munich Helles imports and German Pilsners that usually give me a little bit more sustained head. So let's look at the color on this. All right, that's typical. My glass is a little bit foggy, probably because the beer is a little bit colder than I'd like, so it's kind of got the, it looks a little hazy, but I believe as I'm doing this video and I'm looking at it, it's going to be clear, but it's kind of that light to medium straw color. It is, believe it or not, pretty clear, even though it may not look clear on the camera at the moment because of the beer being a little bit over chilled. But looks nice, looks clear. If I didn't know what I was looking at, just by sheer color, you'd think you're getting like a International Pale Lager, a Heineken, maybe something better like a German Warsteiner, or even just a Beck's or Spaten Munich Helles or something like that. That's kind of what it's looking like. Okay, so I can't say it's ugly, but again, with the head, and here's the head now, we're already down to like not even a quarter of an inch. So again, if that's what you're expecting, with this beer, that's what you get. You're not going to get a nice thick head on beers like this if it is going to be what it's advertised as, kind of the equivalent to a American lager. All right, so let's take a sniff of the aroma. You just get this. I mean, there's an herbal floral character to it, definitely more than a Budweiser or a Miller or a Corona. But you do get, herbal floral character to it, which is actually, it has a better aroma than those beers. There's definitely more to it. It's kind of smelling a little bit more like a Heineken, probably other international pale lagers. Okay. There's that kind of dankness to it. I don't want to say soapy, but because that floral, herbal component, you kind of getting like that, almost like a soapy character, like some dish soap that you've smelt on the nose. So again, it really doesn't smell bad. It's just, it definitely has more hop and character, at least on the aroma there, than you would with an American lager like a Budweiser or Miller or things like that. The malt aroma, it's kind of that doughy, white bread, water cracker kind of nose on the nose. Not much there, but I get a little bit. I definitely get more hop aroma, and the hops smell like, German noble hops, or even like Eastern European. Okay, so again, on the nose, it's not too bad. Okay, I definitely, on the nose, if I had to make a decision, like would I drink this beer, or is it more appealing than say a Budweiser, Miller, Corona, Coors? I would definitely on the nose, this beer already is doing a little bit better from those beers. All right, so guys, cheers. Let's take a swig of this. All right, I definitely got it colder than I wanted. Fortunately, that impedes a little bit. Luckily, this is not like a stout or a porter. Still very neutral malt. You kind of, white bread, that water cracker, very plain Jane to it. So there's and not very much of it, but definitely I have to say, more than those American lagers like I've mentioned, Budweiser, Coors. Hopefully I don't mention again, Miller. I'm a little bit more than that though. Very light bodied. I wouldn't expect alcohol warmth. This is at 5%, by the way. I didn't mention it in the beginning. So it's sitting just above those American lagers and definitely above the American light lagers. Probably sitting closer towards like a Heineken, just above that at being 5%. I don't get that corny taste that I get with Coors. It's just very light-bodied, easy drinking. And on the aftertaste, I'm trying to let it warm up my taste buds and my tongue here as I'm sitting here. It's actually pretty clean. It doesn't really, sometimes I think when I review some of the American lagers, I talk about this old Solo cup kind of smell and taste and stuff like that. This is drinking a lot crisper than that, but I have to say, I can see the similarity, and they actually say in their advertising, it's just kind of like not a lot there. I mean, you definitely get that slight herbal, spicy character to the hops, but again, not very high. Something like this is extremely crushable, quaffable, being such low alcoholic strength, not very complex on the malt and the hop flavor and aroma. What's nice about it, don't really get too much like off flavor, like bad memory, like kind of like I said, that corn rice, but it is a thin beer. They're probably using rice. Again, being Japanese beers, I know if sake's made there. I'm not an expert on sake. I think they use rice a lot. My guess is they're probably using some rice in this to keep that light body closer to those American lagers like a Budweiser. But I have to say, this is enjoyable right now. This would be one of those patio crushers out there. So listen, grade-wise, overall drinkability, enjoyability. I'll listen. I'm going to keep it. You're going to probably be surprised by my grade. I'm going to just keep it at that C. Right now it's actually quite refreshing. Right now, for some reason, I'm a little warmer. I'm drinking it. It's a little colder than usual. I'm going to keep it at that C range. If I have to compare it to a lot of like German Pilsners, European stuff like that, I got to bring it down a little bit. I definitely would drink a nice Munich Helles, drawing a blank, German Pilsner before this, so I'd bring it down. But I got to say, if I was buying beer or I was picking out of someone's cooler and I saw a couple American lagers, Budweiser, Corona, I saw a Sapporo, I would definitely go with this. I think it's cleaner. It's got enough on the aroma for the hops that you're drinking a beer, that it's not like, again, old Solo Cup. It actually has a nice little herbal component to the aroma. I didn't mention the bitterness. Very low bitterness. So I think that's what they're aiming for, like, most American lagers. So as I was saying, crushable, quaffable. It's in the family of international pale lagers like your Heineken, St. Pauli Girl, beers like that. You probably, if you went side by side with them, you may have some difficulty picking out the two of them. But I gotta say, it's pretty crisp, very clean, very refreshing. I would probably grab that before I would grab, an American lager, or certain international lagers, like, maybe even like Grolsch and things like that, or Labatt's or, Molson and things like that. I would go with this beer before that. But again, it's not like spectacular with tons of malt flavor and hop flavor and aroma, like I would get in a typical, Czech Premium Pale Lager that's fresh, German Pilsner, Munich Helles, things like that. The malt isn't like quite, substantial enough there. All right, guys. So just to give you a little idea about this beer for those of you who never had it before or haven't had it in a while, like I said, I'm sure I must have had this at one point. It's been probably so long ago. I mean, years, maybe even 10, 15 years that I've had this. I saw it in my local beer store. I picked up something else. I said, let me pick up one of these single cans. I'll do a video on it. But again, it's a typical, like an American lager. I think just an upscale American lager with a little bit more malt, a little bit more hop, but still extremely crushable, quaffable. All right, and something you may want to pick out, differently than your normal beers if you're like beer, but you kind of like those lagers. All right. So anyway, guys, so next beer dissection video or beer video in general, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.